What's good, everybody? This is Ryan Johnson with MoneyBass.com. All right, guys, we're going to get straight into it tonight. I know you have seen the title of this thumbnail. Well, the title of this live stream, and you have seen the title of the show for tonight. So we're going to get straight into it, guys. Would you support banning the use of live scopes and similar 360-degree imaging electronics in all waters in your state? Drop a yes in the chat if you would support the banning of the use of live scopes and similar 360 imaging electronics in all waters in your state. Drop a yes in the chat if you kind of go for something like that, and drop a no if it's a oh no, I am not going to go for that. All right, guys, so we're going to get straight into it. That is going to be the topic of tonight's discussion. And as always, make sure you guys get active in the chat. We're going to get kind of lively with this one because, as you know, in this chat, which is one of the best chats on YouTube, I want to give a big hand clap to the chat, guys. You guys always keep things going. And just remember, the live streams themselves always build off of the interaction that takes place in the chat. I am very interactive with these live streams, so make sure you get active in the chat. Also, I will drop the link so you guys can come up and kind of state your opinion. I know you've been seeing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything out there online, and you may have been in other people's comments dropping your thoughts, opinions, suggestions, and all of that. But here I drop the live link. So for anybody catching this on the replay, we get together each week on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, live. So you can come here, catch everything live, get active in the chat, and I'll drop the link and maybe you can come up and speak your piece. What do people really understand about how these electronics and everything are used, how they can be used, what are the capabilities of those? And there was also an instance where some people may have been accused of snagging some fish using the scopes, using the live scopes. Sounds kind of interesting. All right, so we're going to get into that also. And the other thing, I do have some some on the water footage, like I said, with me and somebody that you guys may know that kind of challenged me out on the water. So I had to take him out there, let him see what he could do with these live scopes, since he's kind of on the side of, I would say he's more on the side of banning these electronics. So we'll see, guys. So we have a lot in store for this evening. All right, so this first clip, we're going to take a look at pretty much, I would say, one of the first people that brought this topic to light for the majority of us. And I see that it did get quite a bit of interest. So let me see. Let me share the screen. And in the chat, guys, do you know who this person is right here? Do you know who he is? All right. Shout out to our first video clip special guest. All right. So does anybody know who that is? If you know his name, drop it in the chat. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Let me check one more thing, guys. How are the likes looking? All right. There we go. Let me just check this over here. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. They're laughing at me, guys. They're laughing at me. What's going on with the likes? My likes are looking kind of ugly, kind of looking like a Sonar. I mean, a live imaging band right now, guys. Can I get a few likes? Could you maybe drop me, let's see, can I get 6 likes? Just 6 likes, guys. That's all I need. Just hit me with 6 likes. All right, so let me hop into the chat and see what you guys say. Does anybody know who this is? All right, shout out to the Money Team. That is correct. That is Matt Stefan. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what Matt Stefan had to say. All right, here we go, guys.
To 10 panfish to maintain and improve panfish abundance and size. So there's questions, and then within each question, there's a little bit of background that's provided. So the question that has everybody up in an uproar right now across the country is question number 22. So question number 22 states, the actual question is, would you support banning the use of live scopes and similar 360 imaging electronics in all Wisconsin waters? And then the little bit of a description, which is one of the smallest descriptions for any question, is, with the ability of these types of units to detect fish as far as 180 feet out from the user, anglers have become more efficient at locating and catching fish. This type of pressure could reduce fish populations, which may lead to reduced bag limits for anglers.
All right. So, what do you guys think about that? So, that is what he says has most people in an uproar. But notice he mentioned Wisconsin, which is one state. But has anybody else in the chat? I want to see some responses to this. Has anybody else heard that this same question may be put on possibly up to 12 additional ballot? Well, 12 additional states may have the same question coming up on their ballots. Has anybody else heard that? If you have, just drop a yes in the chat and maybe drop the state if you've heard of any other states that are considering this or have actually put that on the ballot. All right. And while you guys are doing that, let me hop back into the chat again. Like I said, I like to keep these interactive. Let's see what else you guys are talking about in here. All right. CT says, but politicians only pass the laws that are recommended by the Parks and Wildlife Department, Fish and Game. Okay. All right. So are you thinking that is where that was recommended from? I mean, I have a feeling that there are some other ways that some of these laws can be kind of slid into place. I don't know all of the steps, but I think there's kind of some other things going on sometimes, guys, in some cases. All right, let's see. Then we have William. He says any circuit that bans forward-facing sonar will have to shut down due to lack of attendance. So William is like, I'm not feeling it. I don't like that. Shout out to Ken. What is going on, Ken? Haven't seen you in a minute. He says, what is the reason for having a politician banning it? I don't know. Maybe the politician just lost the century belt. I mean, you never know. I mean, why is the politician wanting to get rid of it? All right, let's see. Ernest says, okay, he's with the no. He said politicians are like, oh, okay, let's see. What is that? And they don't care about anything. Wow. Okay. All right. Ken also said, let me see. We have enough government regulations as it is. What's wrong with about one or two more? Just go ahead and just add two more. That's not going to hurt anything, is it? Or is it? All right. Carrie Simpson says some of us old guys may still have a chance. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, let's see. All right, and wait a second, guys. Let's check the poll out. Let's check out this poll and see where we are on the poll so far. All right, so the first poll question of the evening is, do you think politicians should make decisions about how you fish? So we have 9% that says yes.
Yes, sir.
They said, yeah, tell me what I need to do out there. Tell me how I need to catch these fish. And then we have 91% that say no. So anybody in the chat that has dropped a yes, let us know why you would want a politician to tell you how to fish. Just let us know. Just let us know why you want to be regulated. All right. So let's see. CT says, let me see. Ken, that's not what's happening. Baited question. He says baited question. I put a little bit of extra charm on. I put some chicken livers on there. I baited the question. All right, let's see. Scott says it's not a ballot, it's a yearly DNR survey. All right, okay. All right, the burning season says people need to be regulated. Look how many species are extinct because of people. Oh, yeah, people. Peoples get kind of bad out there when it comes to these animals and hunting and fishing and all that kind of stuff. All right, so the burning season says, oh, yeah, we need to regulate some things. All right, here we go. CT, let's go ahead and get it straight.
Yes, sir.
CT says, MoneyBass, this is a questionnaire. It goes in line. The questionnaires are submitted to the Fish and Game Department, who then either recommend or do not recommend changing the laws. All right. And Ivy, what does Big Ivy say? Ivy says we need to get rid of the politicians. That's what we need to do. Get rid of all of them. Just no politicians anywhere. All right. Big shout out to Big Ivy. All right, let's see. You guys are kind of moving in here. Let me just get caught up real quick. Let's see. The burning season says people are so selfish. They don't care about anything but themselves. So, does that mean that people are selfish, that they want to keep their live imaging regardless of what's happening, or people are selfish, meaning they want people to do the way they want things done and get rid of them? So I don't know. Which way are you saying on that? All right, CT says exactly, Scott. All right, let's see. Mike says a 75-year-old whooped our rear ends last weekend. They do have a chance. All right, there's a chance. All right, big shout out to the 75-year-olds out there taking it to them on the tournament scene. All right, the burning season says they aren't telling me how to fish. They are regulating something that is detrimental to the environment. All right, sounds good. All right, Scott says cerebral tackle. What let me see. What's up? Hope all is well. Yeah, continue to get active in there. Network with the people that are in the chat. I know a lot of you guys have known each other from previous live streams and everything. So yeah, always get active in the chat. Let's see. Joe says, I really would like to see the envelope that question came from. Probably has multi-scope Randy's address on it. Oh no. All right, you want to try to do some investigation. All right, so let's see what else Matt Stefan had to say about this, guys. All right, so hold on one second. Here we go.
Pretty generic description there, right? Versus some of these other ones that talk a little bit more specific about what that's for. So that's question number 2. That's the one that has everybody up in an uproar. Here's one, question 26. Would you support the Conservation Congress working with the state legislature to designate monarch butterfly as the Wisconsin state butterfly, right? There's questions about everything, but it is an interesting question, because if this does get voted in favor by the public, it then goes the next step. It goes to the state, and then it goes to the DNR, and at that point they can actually enact it as a law, which would be, I believe, the next year out. So generally this process is like 2 or 3 year process.
Kind of interesting. So CT, what does CT say? Let's see what CT says. Does CT agree with Matt on that? He says it's a questionnaire. It goes in line. The questionnaires are submitted to the Fish and Game Department, who then either recommend or do not recommend changing laws. Let's see how Matt Stefan said that again.
It goes to the DNR, and at that point they can actually enact it as a law, which would be, I believe, there's questions about everything.
There we go.
But it is an interesting question, because if this does get voted in favor by the public, it then goes the next step. It goes to the state, and then it goes to the DNR, and at that point they can actually enact it as a law, which would be, I believe, the next year out. So generally this process is like 2 or 3 year process. It is a lengthy process. This is kind of the first steps in it. So it's not like if it gets voted in favor of, it immediately goes into law. So that's the process. Now, there's a lot of questions regarding this. So one issue I have, and this is with the state of Wisconsin and the way we do things versus just this question. I love the fact that we as citizens have the ability to vote on how to manage our resources. Now, having said that, oftentimes what I have found is that everyone votes in a very selfish manner. As an example of this, what I consider the best largemouth lake in the country, the Chippewa Flowage. It's a large body of water, northern Wisconsin. You could go catch 20 plus pounds of largemouth, no problem. It was taking, at its peak time, it was taking close to 50 pounds for a 2-day tournament to win. That's unheard of for largemouth fishing in Wisconsin. Well, because we take this approach of allowing people to decide how to manage these resources, the Chippewa Flowage Lake Association basically had the Department of Resources manage that lake, the Chippewa Flowage, as a walleye fishery. Well, as part of that, what the management process was, or decided upon, was to remove the largemouth. They took the size limit off. They allowed the daily bag limit to be unlimited. They encouraged the resorts to have catch and cook tournaments. Whoa. Well, now the largemouth fishing is a fraction of what it used to be. The walleye fishing still is not anything really different than what it used to be, because, well, there's a lot of reasons why.
Wow, were they having, hold on a second. Did he say catch and cook tournaments for largemouth bass? That is not what he meant, is it? What do you guys think in the chat? Let's just listen to that part one more time. Let's see.
The largemouth. They took the size limit off. They allowed the daily bag limit to be unlimited. They encouraged the resorts to have catch and cook tournaments. Well, now the largemouth fishing is a fraction of what it used to be. The walleye fishing still is not anything really different than what it used to be, because, well, there's a lot of reasons why. I'm not going to get into that. But the fact is.
Okay. So, wow. Okay. So they were having catch and cook tournaments for largemouth, and it depleted the resource that they had, based on what he's saying here. So that definitely sounds like a management issue, regardless of how the fish are being caught. If they are not being released, then they have a 0% chance of making it back out there, reproducing and keeping the that resource strong on that lake. So I would say, regardless of how the fish are being caught, that is a regulation issue right there, to just have catch and cook tournaments. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's hop back into the chat real quick and see what else you guys have to say in here. Let's see what's going on. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? So the burning season says, I understand some lakes are harder than others, but trust me, it isn't hard at all on smallies, are and they are getting destroyed. Okay, so I did see that there's some people that have kind of a difference of opinion regarding the smallmouth in here. So I know you guys, or some of you guys, are kind of going along in here in the chat. And wait a second, I think there was somebody else from the money team in here that I missed a little early. Let me see. Oh no, I got you. I got you. Okay, I already gave you a quick shout out real quick. All right, so CT says it's the generic question came from someone who can't write, uneducated. One guest. Oh my goodness. All right, Clint Perry says you can also support stocking these lakes. All right, yeah. So there's programs and things like that can be put in place to kind of assist with this. So it really depends. To me, it sounds like all of these are management issues, because regardless of how fish are caught, if that resource is not managed, then that can definitely lead to any of these problems that we're referring to, guys. All right, so let's see. Brent says, let's see the studies proving forward-facing sonar is destroying the fisheries. Scientific. Before we're going around banning electronics. Oh yeah, you shoot first and ask questions later. Like, you shoot first and be like, who was that? Who was that in there in my kitchen? You weren't supposed to be in there. All right, let's see. The burning season says, Joe, you are wrong. The forward-facing sonar is allowing people to catch them smallies in 60 foot, and it's an instant death. Ask Zaldane. All right. So they're catching them in 60 foot with the scopes. So let me ask you, burning season, I am not a smallmouth fisherman, but prior to forward-facing sonar, if were people catching them in 60 feet of water, and if they were, is that still an instant death with or without forward-facing sonar? But I see how the argument can be made that maybe those numbers increased with forward-facing sonar. All right, so let's see. CT says, Clint Perry, true, but do you support higher taxes to pay for it? Oh, yeah, CT's like, hey, I'm not breaking my wallet out. I'm not going to pay anything for that kind of monitoring. All right, Clint Perry says, CT, no problem. He's going to dish it out. Clint Perry says, hey, I got some change. I have some pocket change over here. How much do we need? CT says, MoneyBass, yes, it's exactly what happened. All right, there we go. All right, and I think you're agreeing with what Matt Stefan, the process that he was saying that takes place in order for that process to go through and actually get voted in eventually, if it ends up going that way. So the thing is, I guess the bottom line is it has gained traction. From at one point there was 0% interest. Well, maybe not 0%, but it was very, very minute. But now with social media, with everybody out here blasting their opinions on this, opinions on that, it was just a matter of time before people in certain places start getting the information. And you never know, could be a tournament fishing that was out there like, hey man, I miss throwing that buzz bait. We need to bring buzz baits back again. You know what I mean? Where's my buzz bait bite at? I can't win these tournaments on the buzz bait anymore because everybody's offshore catching all the fish that shouldn't be caught. All right, so let's see. Scott says, yes, exactly what he meant. They wanted to make a world-class walleye lake. All right. All right, Big Ivy says, hey, Matt, dummy DNR can't write no laws nor make any laws. I don't know where he been getting this information here in Wisconsin. Nope. That's a lie. Okay, so I don't think he said the DNR makes the laws. I don't think he said they make the laws, did he? All right, Peacock says, how is forward-facing sonar detrimental to bass? How many of you keep what you catch? Cook / unhook back in the lake. Yeah, so I know there are some people that have done studies as far as the mortality rate of fish after they were caught. So you hear about the mortality rate, and then there was a big study done. I think Bass HQ is the channel that talked about that, about even the number of fish that are caught in tournaments. We may think that we are a lot bigger than what we actually are in the big scheme of things regarding the number of fish that are caught on lakes versus just regular fun fishermen or people who, catch and keep the fish. So, I mean, you always have to take that kind of stuff into consideration. And there's always kind of a way where people are finding studies that kind of lean towards what they want. So, yeah, you definitely have to continue doing some research out there to kind of get to the bottom of things. And you have to have an open mind too, because if you go into it kind of biased, then you tend to find things that will, kind of help you support a bias either one way or the other with things. So you kind of have to kind of try to stay neutral whenever you're following the information, and also see where the information is coming from. All right, so Crush It Jail, shout out to the money team. We have Crush It Jail checking back in. Says forward-facing sonar definitely needs to be regulated. All right. So what kind of regulation, Crush It Jail? What kind of regulation would you support? Just the usage in general, or the number of transducers, or what kind of regulation would you say needs to be in place? Ivy says, you notice they mentioned nothing about train that derailed that had all these nasty chemicals that went into the Mississippi. Oh man, oh yeah, that's a whole different story, talking about the pollutions and stuff like that that's going on. All right, then we have Brandon checking in. Brandon says the same amount of fish are getting caught. They are getting caught in different areas. All right, looks like Ken might agree with that. He said yep to somebody. All right, Joe Winkler says no fish are returned in walleye tournaments, and their bag limits are growing every year. How does that happen? How does that happen? How can you sustain that? And maybe it's the same as the bass industry in a sense. Maybe the tournament fishing is not having as big an impact as people think when it comes to the overall population of fish and anglers in general. All right, Mike Deal says my cousin's grandma's sister-in-law's grandson Buddy says it hurts his feelings, so ban it. Oh my goodness. Okay, wait a minute. My cousin's grandma. Okay, cousin's grandma, sister-in-law's cousin, grandma's sister-in-law. Okay, sister-in-law's grandma's buddy. Okay, yeah, I know him. I think his name. Yeah, that's Jeffrey, right? Jeffrey. All right, says it hurts his feelings. All right, CT says the burning season. If a Texan can learn how to fizz, so can a Texan. You guys don't know how to fizz fish in Texas. Those fish are too big. I mean, their lungs. I mean, those fish don't need to be fizzed out there. All right, let's see. Mike Dill said, true, CT. All right, shout out to the money team. All right, let's see what else. Okay, burning season has a lot to say. I like the burning season. He says people were catching them randomly, but now it is easy to target them. You literally catch every fish you see. It's easy to catch 104 odd plus fish a day now with forward-facing sonar. Now everyone is a pro with forward-facing sonar in 60 feet. Oh my God. He said, everybody, hold on, wait a second. The burning season. Let's read this one again. He says, people were catching them randomly, but now it is easy to target them. You literally catch every fish you see.
Yes, sir.
Wow, every fish you see. Man, burning season. I think you might be kind of disappointed at a clip that I'm going to show you, because I did tell you that there was someone that kind of challenged me out on the lake. This is generally the sentiment that they had. So I actually had somebody out on the water, let them take the front of the boat, and we went at it. They were on the boat. I was on the boat. I laid out all of the baits and everything that they requested, that they said they needed. But I'll play a few minutes of that clip shortly so we can hop into that and just kind of see what you guys think about that. All right, so let's hop back into this video clip again real quick. And I see you guys are definitely moving in the chat. All right, and for anybody that is just tuning in, welcome to the live stream, guys. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we get together. We get in here and talk about some hot topics. We talk about fishing. We talk about a little of everything in here. I have some special guests coming to the show sometimes. Recently had, let's see, who's been on here, guys? Drop it in the chat. If you know who's been on the show recently, drop it in the chat. Let's see. We're going to see who are some loyal watchers, viewers of this channel. What special guests? Who are the last 3 guests that we've had on the channel, guys? Just taking a quick pause. And while I'm doing that, while I'm waiting for you guys to drop that answer in the chat, let's check this poll again real quick, and then we will change the poll question. This channel is very interactive, guys. Make sure you are participating in the chat, and I will drop polls throughout the show just so we can kind of gauge the room and see what you guys think about these different topics. And I also will drop the call-in link. That's part of the show where I drop the call-in link. You guys can click on that. I will bring you up on the screen and we can kind of, exchange some ideas, thoughts, opinions. Just I'll set a timer, let you talk for maybe about a minute or two, just to let everybody know what you think about the topic. Then I'll drop you down and bring somebody else up. So we have a lot of fun with it, guys. All right. So the current poll question says, do you think politicians should make decisions about how you fish? That is the poll that is currently active in the chat. All right. I only see one person in. Bryn, is Bryn the only one that says they know the last 3 guests that I've had on the channel? Bryn says he had Donald Trump. All right, all right. He had Bill Dance. Okay, all right, Bill Dance. Okay, Bill Dance. And then he had Johnny Morrison. Okay. Big shout out for Bryn. Big shout out to Bryn. But hey, those would be some nice guests to have on the stream. But no, I have not had the pleasure of having any of those guests on the stream. Not yet, but hey, you never know. Never know. All right, maybe if I changed over to golf or something like that, maybe I get one of them. All right, let's see. Corey Cornelius. All right, shout out to Corey Cornelius. Says Bass Geek. All right. So Bass Geek, you are correct. All right, so Bass Geek is one of the last 3 guests that I had. Let's see who else we have. All right, Vernon Neal says, CT, you're right. Shout out to Vernon Neal. All right, Scott says, Texas uses fish clips instead of fizzing more often than anything. All right, guys, I'm looking in the chat. Okay, here we go. Clint Perry says chicken hawk. Wait a minute. Okay. I guess you are correct. Chicken Hawk was on the last live stream. That is who was on the water challenge that I told you guys I will play a clip from. So that is correct. You got me on that one. So yes, Chicken Hawk was one of the last guests. And Corey has the other one.
Yes, sir.
It was Randy Blaukat. Yes, we had Randy Blaukat on the show. Was that 3? We had Chicken Hawk, Randy. Okay, and Basket. Okay, so yeah, you guys got me. So yeah, there we go. And then let's see, who were the other ones that we had on here, guys? We had Milliken on here. Goodness, I can't remember the other ones, guys. But I dropped clips. I dropped clips of who we had on here. All right, then Brent says, "Oh, my bad. That wasn't the correct answer." All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and change this poll question, guys. Do you think politicians should make decisions about how you fish? We have 8% of you said yes, they do need to make decisions about how I fish. And I guess I can see how that kind of is a trick question because it actually goes through the DNR. It has some other steps that go into it. But then we have 92% of you said no, keep politics out of my fishing. I don't want politics to have anything to do with it. All right, so now let's hop into the next poll question, guys, and then we'll keep it moving. Then we'll play a little bit more of this clip, and then we'll move right into the next thing. And what I will do, we've been running, for about 37 minutes. So I will go ahead and drop the call-in link. So if anybody does want to come up and just kind of state your thoughts or opinions on what you have heard so far into the show, I will go ahead and do that. All right, so this next poll question, guys. And the other thing, if you have a poll question that you kind of want to use to gauge the room, drop that question in the chat. And, I may just put it up there and see what you guys think. All right. So the next poll question is, this was something that I thought of. Buyback programs. Since we're talking about banning these scopes, these live scopes, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Do you guys support buyback programs? So let's see. Do you support buyback programs? And we're not talking about the scopes with this one. So let's just say firearm buyback programs, just to kind of gauge the room. I just want to see who we have in here. What kind of crowd is it? So do you support, get that right there. Do you support firearms buyback program? So it's going to kind of tie in together, guys. So like I said, we're just kind of gauging the room. So we have a simple yes, and then we'll have a no in there. Like I said, I like to keep it simple, guys. All right. So do you support firearms buyback programs? All right. So we're going to tie all of these together, guys. It's going to be kind of fun. It's going to be interesting. All right. Joe Winker said, no. He says lock and load. I am not giving it up. All right. So that poll is up and running. Do you support firearms buyback programs? All right. Let's see, guys. Gonna keep it moving. Gonna keep it moving. All right, let's go ahead and play the last segment that I wanted you guys to hear in the let's see, Matt Stefan's. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me get that lined up. Let's take a listen to this last part in here and see what you guys think.
Angler in the state of Wisconsin, I do have serious questions as to how this is going to be policed. I mean, and is it like an automatic ticket if I have it on my boat? And how does the DNR warden know that I'm even using it? Like, if I don't necessarily want to have to put it on my boat and take it off my boat every time I leave the state of Wisconsin. So from that standpoint, I don't know how that's going to be policed. I don't know, the ramifications potentially from a revenue standpoint. Like, would there be people that don't necessarily want to come to Wisconsin from other states, which is a very large part of our tourism dollars, because they don't want to mess with taking off the LiveScope?
And keep in mind, guys, he is specifically talking about Wisconsin. But what I mentioned earlier is I've heard somebody mention that this is being considered or may be on the ballots or questionnaire in up to 12 other states. So if anybody in the chat has heard about this affecting any other states besides Wisconsin, drop a yes in the chat. And if you know which states, drop that in the chat also, just so we can see, guys. So he's saying Wisconsin, but just think if this is your state, what would be your response to that?
There are people that would come to our state because they want to support a state that doesn't have LiveScope. Would professional level tournaments say, hey, we're not coming to Wisconsin now? Or would professional level tournaments say, we want to go to Wisconsin now because we can use that as the excuse to have a no forward facing Sonar tournament? Like, I don't know where this would go. I don't even know how I feel about all this. I'm not real comfortable with saying the government should have the ability to tell us that we can't use it to go fishing. I mean, I know people would say, well, they put restrictions on the Alabama rig, but the reality is they didn't really put restrictions on the Alabama rig. In the state of Wisconsin, we already had a law that said you can't have more than 3 hooks. So from that standpoint, okay, well, the Alabama rig came out. So the DNR made the decision that said, we have this law says you can have 3 hooks. So your Alabama rigs cannot have more than 3 hooks. That was already kind of in place with respect to that. And I know there's people out there that go, well, from the standpoint of it, you can't spotlight deer. Well, yeah, I don't necessarily want people hunting deer at night. I don't want people, you're talking about somebody firing a gun potentially versus somebody making a cast. It's not like there's a big difference there, in my opinion. I understand.
All right, so there's a difference in his opinion in spotlighting a deer. We had an interesting conversation about that before. Let's give a hand clap to that conversation. Does anybody in the chat remember what the question was that we had regarding the spotlighting of deer? Does anybody remember that? If you do, drop it in the chat. And let's hop back over here and see how this poll is going. And for anybody that is just tuning in, once again, welcome to the live stream, guys. We get together every week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you watch the shows live. I know a lot of you guys catch these on the replay, but the thing that you miss is the chat. This is one of the best chats on YouTube, guys. We get in here, we get active. I kind of mix it up with the chat, see what you guys have to say. And I also drop the call-in link. And actually, while I'm mentioning that, let's go ahead and get that in the chat right now. And basically, if you are interested in calling in, and what I always say is, especially if you have a YouTube channel, you do want to hit this call-in link. Come up here, I'll give your channel a shout out. And you never know. May have somebody that knows you in the chat. So basically, just click that call-in link. I can bring you up on the screen. Just kind of hear your opinion on the topics that we have discussed so far. All right. So the question at hand, and make sure you guys get active and respond and participate in the polls as I put those up, because I'm going to be changing those out kind of quick tonight. All right. So do you support firearms buyback programs? So it looks like we have 18% says yes. Yes, come and take my firearm. Give me $50 for that. I mean, hey, it's a 1800s antique, probably worth about $1,500, but I'll take $50 for it. So they're saying, yes, I would. I mean, I guess you guys can see how I think about the buyback program. But anyway, so do you support firearms buyback programs? We have 18% that says yes. Oh, yeah, you can come and take this gun from me. All right, then we have 82% that says no. Do not, you take your hands off of it. Do not put your phalanges on my piece over here. All right, so there we go, guys. So we have 83% that says no, they do not support firearms buyback programs. And like I said, we're going to kind of tie all of this together, but let's go ahead and keep it moving. Let's end that poll question. But as we're kind of stepping through it, just kind of remember the answers to these questions. So we have, we have a pretty decent crowd in here. So we're going to have some fun with it, guys. All right, so the next question that we have for this evening, let's see, let's drop this next poll question in here. So do you want LiveScope to be banned? Now, this is what is really going to kind of gauge the room. And, I generally like it when we have kind of a 50-50 crowd, which doesn't, a lot of times we'll have like a 60-40, maybe something like that, or 70-something, 30-somethings. But let's see. So do you want to ban the live scopes? Who doesn't like the scopes? All right, let's test it out, guys. Let's get this next poll question going. Do you want to ban? And we're just putting live scope. Everybody knows that we have Mega Live, we have Active Target, we have a few other things out there. But do the people that are actually talking about these subjects and making decisions for us regarding how we fish, do they know these things, or do they really think that it's the live scopes? These scopes are live out here. All right, so do you want to ban live scope? Or better yet, do you want live scope banned? Let's just go ahead and word it like that. Do you want live scope banned? And like I said, guys, we're going to tie all of this in together. We have a few other interesting clips that I'm going to pull up. And like I said, I had somebody that kind of made a challenge to me out on the lake about the scopes. They had the same comment that the burning season had a little earlier about it. Like, hey, it's a 100% chance that you're going to get out here and make things happen if you get out there with those scopes. Don't scope the fish. They don't have a chance. But we'll see. We'll see about that in just a second. All right, so do you want live scope banned? All right, that poll is active. It's up and running, guys. So please take a chance, take a second to participate, to partake in the poll that was just dropped, guys. It does make the live streams a lot more, interactive. It adds another element, another spicy element to the live stream. All right, and another thing, did you hit the like button? Let's take a poll on that real quick. Let me just check and see. If you are answering the poll, really appreciate it. Oh my God, guys. My likes. What happened? My likes are looking kind of ugly. My likes have been banned. Can you guys help me out with my likes? Hold on just a second. I'm discombobulated over here. My likes are looking kind of ugly. All right, so let me see. What can we do to get some of these likes up? First, do you like the content? Are you guys having some fun? Are you kind of finding some value in what we've been talking about so far? Remember, we're not even halfway through the show yet. And actually, while you guys are getting my likes up, let's go ahead and pull up a special contestant. We have somebody backstage that wants to come up and tell us about these scopes. Let's see. Who do we have here? We have Brandon. What's going on, Brandon? How you doing? All right. I think you're muted, Brandon. You're muted. Let's see if I can hear you. Not yet. Not yet. Uh-oh. Look like we might have a few technical difficulties. All right. Let's try it again, Brandon. All right. Nope. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have you muted on this end. Let's do this. I'm just going to drop you back off and then just come back on. And also, the way that you have your phone, turn it to the landscape mode, and then I can bring you back up again. So I'm going to drop you down, and maybe when you come back, that will allow your audio to kick back in. All right, guys. So let's see what is going on with the likes. This is what we can do. Let me just poll the room. Drop the word like in the chat if you have hit the like button and you like the content. Maybe that'll let me see who is helping me out with the likes. Let me just double check them again. Yeah, we need a few more likes in here. All right, let's see. So while we wait for those likes, what I'll do is hop back into the chat and see what you guys are talking about in here. All right, we have Adam checking in. Big shout out to Adam. Glad to have you checking into the live stream. All right, he says, thank you, Randy B. I agree 100% with him. The sport was great without it, and fishing was fun and loved it before the live scope. Can't believe how many people act like fishing is over if they can't use it. Man, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people out there that are really finding some enjoyment in it. And I mean, to me, it adds another layer of fun to it. So it's kind of, how do you want to fish? What is it that you find enjoyment in? But yeah, so I understand what Randy is saying and Adam is saying. He agrees. All right, so let's see. Let's try it once again. While you guys are getting my likes up, let me just double check these likes again. Let's check these likes. How are we looking? Oh man, we're kind of easing into it. We're creeping along, guys. We're getting there. But yeah, if you have hit the like button, drop the word like in the chat. And while we're doing that, let's see who we have here. Let's see, Brandon, what is going on?
Hey, it's working now.
There we go, loud and clear.
Right.
What is going on, buddy? What do you have? What's on your mind tonight?
Man, with all these pros coming out and talking about how LiveScope, it's just not the sport. It's not true to the sport. And just really saying that it's just not fishing. And what I want to ask these pros is, if this isn't true to fishing, what do they think about, pros tend to get products before they're available to the public.
Right.
And not every pro can get the same product. So, if you want to say, if you want an even playing field, LiveScope evens that across the board. Anybody can use it. Anybody can learn to use it. They have access to all the same baits that it works with. But, over the years, like when the jackhammer came out, there were guys throwing the jackhammer for a year before it even hit the market, and they're the whopper plopper. I mean, every bait that's come out that catches fish, these pros, not all of them, but some of them were throwing it before it ever hit the market, and they have a huge advantage. And
definitely,
do they think that's true to the sport, but now LiveScope somehow isn't?
Yeah, I mean, and what you're speaking of, I think that has been happening since fishing started. Everybody's always tried to keep a secret, a secret of what they're doing, where they're going. Everything seemed like it was a secret at one point.
It's a lot harder nowadays for the pros because of live and everything. So when we see them catch a fish, we can see what they're throwing, and you can still see that, they're throwing a bait that hadn't come out. And it's just, to me, that's more of a, if we're going to start nitpicking on the whole sport, then we just need to say, okay, you can only throw tackle that's available to the public. You can only use rods available to the public. You can only use reels, boats, sonar, all of it. It has to be available to the public because, guys get trolling motors before they come out. When Spot Lock came out, there were guys running Spot Lock for a year and a half before we could buy it, and then same with Panoptics. When it came out, guys were running it before anybody else could buy it.
Right. But
to
look,
me, that's what
you got a little spotlight. You got a little
yeah. And everybody wants to talk about cost. LiveScope is $1,500 or $1,600. Well, that Spot Lock trolling motor you bought, it went from a $900 trolling motor to a $2,500 trolling motor, and that's if you buy the cheap one. You can get $3,500, $3,800 Spot Lock trolling motors, depending on what brand you get.
Exactly.
So the whole value or the cost of a LiveScope to be competitive, that's so minuscule. Like $1,500 transducer, most anglers spend more than that in the first month of fishing on baits, like stocking up for the season.
Exactly. Yeah. So your main sentiment is even out, like basically what are people considering, I guess, real fishing or traditional fishing whenever people don't have the same equipment to begin with. So it's not an even playing field to begin with.
Right. In my opinion, LiveScope, this era is the most level playing field. Like, the veterans do not have an overwhelming advantage over rookies because of the years they've been on tour. Like, rookies can take this technology that they've learned how to use, and we see it right now. I mean, the two guys leading the Bassmaster Elite Angler of the Year race, I know it's only been 2 events and they were live scoping events, but they're both rookies, you know. And I think all 9 of them from last year are in like the top 20 in points right now. And when you look at the new ones coming up through the opens, it's the same thing. They all rely on this technology, and it just evens the field.
Right. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's interesting. So that sounds like that may be a poll question. So when you hop back in the chat, drop it in there, because I have a few more poll questions that I'll be putting up. And you know, I'm active. I'm in here getting active with the chat. So if I see some good poll questions, if I catch them, because it starts moving kind of fast sometimes, I'll add those in the mix so we can kind of gauge the room, as I call it.
Right.
All right. So yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Really appreciate it. Everybody give Brandon a big shout out. Appreciate you for coming up, and you're welcome back anytime, sir.
All right.
All right. Really appreciate you. All right, guys, there we go. That is Brandon. All right. He came up and spoke his piece. So what do you think about that? And the call-in link is in the chat. So if anybody else wants to click the link and come up, let me just drop it in the chat again. That is the call-in link. I'll bring you up. We can check your audio. Just make sure your lighting is good, and we will be good to go. And the other thing, just make sure your camera is in the landscape mode. So just turn it sideways. All right. So that call-in link is in the chat. So that is the end of part 1. But you definitely want to see part 2, where we discuss snagging fish. We have some more people calling in with some interesting opinions on the topics that we have discussed. Part 2, the link is in the description.